Last week, I accidentally turned three different hobbies into business ideas, and it stressed me out so much that I had to remind myself I was allowed to enjoy things. And I know that can sound unrealistic these days. The cost of living has gone up so much that many people are looking for additional sources of income. While my family isn't struggling to get by, I've definitely thought about different ways I could contribute financially and take some of the weight off my husband's shoulders. Hello, my name is Chansey, and I run Starcrusher Studios, a stationery shop that currently sells a journal, a notepad, and a sticker sheet. If you'd like to check them out, I'll leave a link in the description. Recently, I've been wrestling with the idea that every hobby I enjoy should somehow become a business. I'm someone who has a lot of ideas, and more often than not, I want all of them to connect and work together. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. The funny thing is, I only recently launched my shop, and I'm already overflowing with new ideas. Just last week, I started thinking about two completely different projects. Number one was writing and illustrating a children's book. Number two was creating D&D journals and offering, possibly offering character art commissions. You might be wondering how I arrived at those ideas. Well, let's start with D&D. I've always thought D&D was a fun niche, and designing journals and stickers for players sounded something I'd enjoy genuinely, since I've always wanted a dedicated journal for my own campaigns. Recently, I drew a character for a friend. I hadn't done character art in quite a while because I'd been so focused on stationery, but the drawing turned out much better than I expected. And that immediately sparked the idea. What if I offered character art for D&D players? Years ago, I even considered opening commissions. The problem is that I mostly draw humanoid characters, humans, elves, and similar races. And if I wanted to offer commissions seriously, I need to know how to draw a much wider variety of characters, like turtles and tabaxis and whatnot. And suddenly, what started as a fun idea became a business plan. Now I had questions to answer. Should I learn those skills? Should I offer the service? Would anyone buy it? Would it be worth the time? The more I thought about it, the more stressed I became. And my second idea was just as complicated. One night, while reading a bedtime story to my children, I thought it would be fun to write a story for them. I've heard that's how The Hobbit started, a story told to children. As I kept thinking about it, another idea appeared. What if I made read aloud videos for YouTube? People have told me that I have a calming voice for reading stories or helping them relax, and I thought that could be something really special. Then another idea followed. Yes, I know. If the stories gained an audience, I could create stationery inspired by them. I even had a story concept ready. Some of you might remember Pillow, the little mouse I introduced in my earlier videos. The story follows Pillow, a curious mouse who dreams of becoming an explorer. When he discovers a star that has fallen into the sea, he sets across the ocean of lanterns to return it to the sky. Along the way, he learns that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite it. And I genuinely love that idea. But when I started researching children's books, what age group should I write for? Picture books, early readers, chapter books, middle grade? The list went on. And the deeper I went, the more overwhelmed I became. Surprise. And once again, I wasn't simply enjoying an idea anymore. I was trying to turn it into a business. Then one day, something finally clicked. I realized I could just do things because I wanted to do them. I didn't have to justify every hobby. I didn't have to calculate its earning potential. I didn't have to build an entire business around every creative spark. Most of those expectations weren't coming from anyone else. They were coming from me. I had convinced myself that every interest needed to fit neatly into my shop, my brand, or my future plans. The irony is that in a previous video, I talked about the importance of experimenting, trying things, seeing what you enjoy, and giving yourself permission to learn. Apparently, I needed to take my own advice. Humans are often much harder on themselves than they are on their friends and family. I know I am. I wanted to make money from my characters, but I realized I enjoyed drawing and animating them for myself far more than I enjoy turning them into products. That doesn't mean they can never become products someday. It just means they don't have to. Not everything needs to be optimized. Not everything needs to be monetized. Some things are allowed to exist simply because they bring you joy. If you've been feeling pressure to turn every hobby into a side hustle, maybe this is your reminder that you're allowed to have hobbies. You're allowed to create things that nobody buys. You're allowed to learn a skill without knowing where it'll lead. You're allowed to make something just because it sounds fun. And honestly, I think people can tell when someone genuinely loves what they're doing. I'd much rather watch someone excited about their craft than someone who's exhausted from squeezing every ounce of productivity out of it. And that's where I found myself recently. I was turning things I loved into sources of stress. And I don't want to live that way. I want to make things because they're meaningful, because they're fun, because I'm curious, and because they bring me joy. And if some of those things become businesses someday, that's wonderful. But they don't have to. Before I go, I just want to say this. Whatever you're working on right now, I hope you're giving yourself permission to enjoy it. Even if you're still figuring things out, even if you don't know where it's going, even if nobody else understands why you're excited about it, keep going. Have fun. Create things that make you happy. Because at the end of the day, success isn't just about what you've built. It's also about whether you're content with the life you're living while you build it. Thank you all so much for listening. Let me know what you're working on these days and whether you've ever felt this pressure to turn a hobby into a business. I'd love to hear about it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye.